Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Cleveland. My name is Mark Weber, and we want to welcome everyone, whether you are here with us for the first time or whether you have been coming for years. And we want to welcome you whether you are here with us in person or whether you are tuning in on our online platform. If you are joining us for the first time or relatively new, and you want to know more about who we are, we invite you to fill out one of the guest cards in the pew rack in front of you. You can place that card in the offering plate when it comes around later in the service. And then we will be able to reach out to you and answer any questions that you might have about who we are and what we believe. If you are watching from an internet platform, you can go to uucleveland.org. On the back of your order of service is a QR code. It will take you to our contact tracing service. If you fill out the contact tracing form when you leave today, then we will be able to contact you if we need to regarding any exposure to COVID. We are now entering a sacred space, so please take a moment, if you would, to silence your phones or other electronic devices that go beep. Thank you. And now we will have the lighting of our chalice. Our chalice lighter, who is Cliff Wire, will light our chalice. And then please let us read together the words for the lighting of our chalice found on the yellow card in the seat back in front of you. Love is the spirit of this congregation, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
Well, good morning. So happy to see all of you here today. You braved the threat of weather and a toastier day than maybe it's been on several Sundays, so gold stars for everybody. I invite you into worship this morning with these words from UU Minister Marta Valentin. We pause this morning from the chaos of the world to reclaim the beauty within these walls that carries us through our week. We lift this community onto our shoulders with pride and grace-filled expectations for all of those who follow after us. As we get ready to sing number 348, Guide My Feet, I invite all of you to welcome one another in fellowship this morning.
You
one of the ways that we create beloved community in this space, the things that we bring with us to this space, are not important to each of us individually. I hope that we all feel invited to come, take a stone, place it in the water, in memory of those joys and concerns that weigh on all of us this morning. If you feel like speaking those out, our coffee hour after the service is completed is a wonderful time to bring those joys with us. For now, I invite all of us to be in a space of meditation. Is this better? Can you hear us? Okay. As we conclude today, of course, we want to include a stone for those thoughts and concerns that go unmentioned this morning. Today I get the chance to invite something we've been quite tardy about, and invite two members of our adult Credo class who finished up in January to share their Credos this morning.
Hi. I'm Mary Allan McNulty. First of all, the Credo class, as Allan said, ended up in January. And in this Credo class, it was taught by Melissa Vandergrift. And we talked about our family origins. We talked about good and evil. We talked about God, whether we believed, and if we believed, what we believed. We talked about the afterlife. We talked about how we believe people dealt with each other. Not just good and evil, but how do people deal with each other? It was an extraordinarily good class because I think a lot of times as adults, we think we're done thinking about what we believe in. You know, we know what we believe in, don't you? Don't you know what you believe in? Not really. So this kind of a class, for me, was extraordinary because it took me back to where I came from, why I thought the way I did, what I believed in now, how it was different, and it caused me to really think some things through. Not completely. I'm sure if I took this class again now, it would be probably different than what I thought in January. And that's why I'm taking Randy's class now, which is the journey. So if any of you have the chance to start taking that during the summer or the early fall, that's a good class too. So there is another Credo class starting in the fall. So if you have a chance to take this Credo class, it is really spectacular. I think it's like 10 weeks. Is that right, David? Yeah, David's got a thumbs up. 10 weeks. It's really you hear from other people, so you get to talk with each other about what you all think about things. Okay, so here goes. This is my credo. So, this is a difficult thing to even start to think about. Could you please write your beliefs down in a 4-minute presentation? Not more than that, people will get bored. We don't want that. We don't care that it's about your deepest feelings and beliefs. No more than 4 minutes. Okay, here I go. First of all, I loved this class. I loved delving into the stuff I thought I understood about myself and the stuff I had no idea about. One of the first things we looked at when building a credo was the people who influenced us. My wonderful parents gave me some honest truths early on. Those of you who know me won't be surprised to know there were a couple of very strong women in my family who were a huge influence on me. David, my husband, is also a huge influence in my life. As I think about where a lot of my basic beliefs come from, these people are involved. I went to Holy Cross for college and learned about critical thinking from the Jesuits and how to apply it in all facets of my life. I loved it. It was truly life-changing. The opening of my beliefs during college and coming to the UU Church brought me on a path to my new credo. So, you're all on the edge of your seats now, aren't you, huh? Here's my credo. I do believe in a higher power, but it's not up in the sky loving and judging us in the way I thought when I was a kid. My higher power is a loving consciousness that includes all of us, as well as the spirits of those who have gone before us. All-inclusive, not separate from us. I believe this consciousness is available to me if I am open to it. So I believe my friends, family, and others who have died are there for me, to help me and to hold me. At times it's easier to hear them than others, of course, but that loving consciousness is always there. Sometimes it's just to let me know that I'm not in this world alone. I hear myself saying something my mom would say in her tone of voice, and I stop myself and say, "Hi, Mom," because I believe she is saying hi to me. I believe this consciousness guides the world, for good and for bad. When we are all moving in the same direction, taking care of each other, the world seems right to us. When we're not, the world is off. So basically, I believe in the spirit of love that surrounds us if we would just tap into it. I call this God. You may call it something else or think I'm full of nonsense. I think the injustices of the world flare up when people lose touch with this greater consciousness and live a life without love at its center, causing pain and hardship for others. I think this is where evil comes from, when we have the means to tap into the greater consciousness of love and we don't. I understand there may be reasons for it, but I still think those are evil actions. So how does death fit in? I grew up Irish Catholic with a very large extended family, so death was just a part of living. Of course you were sad, but it was also a time when the whole family got together and told stories. So I grew up not being fearful about death. I honestly don't think about it much. Since I believe in this larger consciousness, death does not really scare me. I am fascinated to know what happens in that split second between life and death. It bugs my family when I talk about this. But I hope they are open enough to the larger consciousness to hear me so I can tell them about it, so they won't fear death. The afterlife is this loving consciousness that I've been talking about. I will be able to visit with my friends, family, pets, etc. I'm not exactly sure how this will happen, but I don't think it will be physically. We will all be together in this loving spirit. I hope my family will be opening to communicating with me once I'm gone. Some do it with prayer, some meditation, some talk to ancestors through the elders. I don't care how they do it. Just know that I will still have things to say after I die. This church has been a very important part of my life in developing a credo. The community has been my lifeline through many happy and difficult times during the past 30+ years. I thank each and every one of you for being there for me. The development of my credo could not have happened without this community support. My committees, small groups, talks during coffee hours, hugs, stewardship chats, etc. all help me to come into who I am and what I believe. I have gone through some very happy times and some times I would rather not go through again. Yet all of them helped me develop my credo. Thanks to all of you. Thank you to Melissa and David for doing a great job facilitating the class, and to the rest of the class for the discussions we had around our topics. And in case you forgot, my overarching credo is love. Thank you.
Our reading this morning, Beatitudes for Justice Builders by Lindy Ramsden. Blessed are you who can question your own assumptions and listen with an open mind. You will receive new insights beyond your imagining. Blessed are you who suffer the attacks of others to stand up for what is right. You will not be alone, for your courage will inspire others to rise. Blessed are you who build friendships as well as justice, because even when you lose an issue, you will have strengthened the foundation of our community. Blessed are you who agitate the placid waters of complacency. You will create waves in the inertia of privilege, and you will know the thrill of riding the surf of change. Blessed are you who ask for help in your role, and your work will remain interesting and alive. Blessed are you who do not demonize your opponents. Your eyes and your heart will be open. Blessed are you who sing and dance. You will find energy and joy to lift you on your journey. Blessed are you who study the rhythms of history. You will have knowledge with which to shape the future. Blessed are you who discover, train, and encourage young leaders. You will see your work expand and grow beyond your own time and talents. Blessed are you who can change your mind. You are still alive. Blessed are you who will not let the perfect be the enemy of the good. You will see progress in your lifetime. And blessed are you who live from a place of gratitude. You will know the meaning of life. The words of Lindy Ramsden. Thank you.
I'd like you to join me in the heart opening song. I'll sing a part of it, and go ahead and join me when the Spirit moves you. My heart is open, open wide to the fire in my soul. My heart is open wide to the fire in my soul. The love of you. My heart is open wide to the love of you. My heart is open wide to the love of you.
The proceeds of our offering this morning will go to support Greater Cleveland congregations. For more than a decade, GCC has led the struggle in Cleveland on a number of important vital issues: passing school levies, criminal justice reform on a number of fronts, for gun safety, and for the mental health centers in the neighborhoods. GCC, formed in 2011, of which our congregation was a charter member, has become a key part of our congregation's overall justice effort. And I ask that you please contribute as generously as you can, but of course, within your means. Let us help GCC in its important work. Thank you.
Shout, shout, shout and sing, shout and make the heavens ring, shout and praise the God above, while angels clothe us with God's love. Shout, shout, shout and sing, shout and shout, shout and sing, shout and make the heavens ring, shout and praise the God above, while angels clothe us with God's love.
Shout and sing, shout and make the heavens ring, shout and praise the God above, while angels clothe us with God's love.
Shout and shout, shout and sing, shout and make the heavens ring, shout and praise the God above, while angels clothe us with God's love. Lo, re, lo, lo, re, lo, lo, re, lo, re, lo, lo, re, lo, re, lo. Lo, re, lo, lo, re, lo, 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 re, lo, re, lo, 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 re, lo, lo, re, lo, lo, re, lo, re, lo, lo, re, lo, 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 re, lo, lo, re, lo, 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 re, lo, re, lo, lo, lo.
Shout, shout, shout and sing, shout and make the heavens ring, shout and praise the God above, while angels clothe us with God's love. Shout and praise the God above,
Angels clothe us with God's love.
I invite you all to join me in the acceptance of gifts, which is on the yellow sheet found in your pews. We offer these gifts with gratitude, and we acknowledge the constant gifts of time, talent, and treasure that strengthen and nourish this congregation as a reflection of our commitment to community within and without, our purposeful spirituality that is ever searching and growing, and our intentional actions that lead to greater justice in our congregation, our city, our nation, and our world.
And now, this is something that you don't see every Sunday morning. I will now become Sam Gamgee, the brave hobbit who said the following words in Tolkien's The Two Towers, the second volume of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Yeah, I know, it takes some imagination to see me as a hobbit, but I just would appeal to all of you to please work with me here. Sam. It's like in the great stories, Mr. Frodo, the ones that really mattered, you know? Full of darkness and danger they were. And sometimes you didn't want to know the end. Because how could the end be happy? How could the world ever go back to the way it was when so much bad had happened? But in the end, it's only a passing thing, this shadow. Even darkness must pass, Mr. Frodo. A new day will come, and when the sun shines, it will shine out clearer than ever. Those were the stories that stayed with you, that stayed with us. This meant something, even if you were too small to understand it. But I think, Mr. Frodo, I do understand. I know now. Folk in those stories had lots of chances to turn back, but they didn't. They kept on going because they were holding on to something. That is, that there is good in this world, and it's worth fighting for. Sam. J.R. Tolkien. Thank you.
So you can always tell that you're off to a good start with a sermon when you can ask a rich, deep question. So my question to you all is one of those. What is your least favorite smell? Do you have any disgusting smells out there? Some things that we just really particularly hate? Shout them out. Skunk. Heard so many things. A lot of bad smells out there. Liver. Perfume. Poop. Bad fart. Perfect example. Nothing like a bad fart. So I used to work at Starbucks. That was the last job I had here in Cleveland while I was still in grad school. And the smell that Starbucks gave me that I hated was the smell of taking out the garbage at Starbucks. You can imagine all the things that are in a Starbucks fresh, and then mix all of that with the usual garbage stuff. Oof. So gross. I hated it. When I think about the world, and especially our country in 2022, I think a lot about that gross dumpster. Except our situation is so much worse. The harms that are happening are so much more urgent. So what I really imagine is that dumpster just absolutely ablaze, burning with the intensity of a billion smelly, stinky, spoiled milk Starbucks lattes. That's what I think about. Because that's the thing about a dumpster fire. Before it was a fire, it was a pile of garbage. It's a disaster on top of a tragedy. And we are surrounded by them right now. We can all feel it. I'm sure we can all smell it. And the fire is only getting hotter. And I have to say that however you are processing those feelings in this dumpster fire era we're living in, be that in anger or grief or disbelief, that process that you're feeling is valid and necessary. And I hope that all of us can find ways to get through this in these times in a way that honor our feelings meaningfully. But that part is not what today's message is about. These dumpster fires that are all around us, they don't need to be analyzed. The stench is all in our noses. It's plenty to tell us about what you have to do with a dumpster fire. So you got to put it out. And if we're going to work on putting out dumpster fires, we need courage. We need resources to push forward, like Sam did. This fact was recently brought home to me. I was very lucky to be able to go see Isabella Wilkerson. She spoke a few weeks back at the Maltz Auditorium. She's the author of, you're not familiar with her, she wrote a book called The Warmth of Other Suns, about the black diaspora. She wrote more recently a book called Caste, about the American caste system. She had plenty of thoughtful insights, but I was so moved by how pragmatic and just indefatigable she was. I know that you're not supposed to mix metaphors, and I usually try not to. I started with dumpster fire, and I should stay there. I know that. But when Isabella Wilkerson presents a metaphor, it's good to run with that one. And the metaphor she used, she likened that living in America in 2022 is like moving into an old house. It's the idea that we all have is that we are all new homeowners in this old house. And she suggested that a productive way of thinking about it and the problems that we're facing is that we are Americans trying to bring this old house up to date. And Wilkerson described how if you move into an old house, one of the most frightening things, one of the most difficult ones to do, is to look in the basement. Because you just know that the pipes are a mess, and there's electrical problems, and the furnace doesn't work right. But Wilkerson was pragmatic. And she said that if you're living in an old house, it's no use to talk about how the basement got that way. What the previous owners did, that's all important, but not salient to what's going on right now. What happened needs to just get fixed. And the best thing you can do is open that door. Just open the door and start looking at what's there. Now, I don't know how to fix furnaces. I'm not a plumber or an electrician. And I mean that both literally and as part of Wilkinson's metaphor. I don't know how to fix a furnace, and I also don't know how to fix corrupt court systems. I don't know how to redress a culture of gun violence. I don't know how to do the things we need to do about racism and misogyny, all of the things that are in America's basement. But I know something about being afraid of opening that door. I know how it feels when you know that the things behind that doorknob are just too messy. They are too gigantic. They feel too insolvable to even have the will to open it. So in that spirit, here are some reminders, some encouragement, some resources to help us grab that doorknob, take a deep breath, and walk through. Because I hope that we can all gather our resources as individuals and bring what good we can so that we can do what needs to be done if this old house is going to remain habitable. So, first off, don't stop laughing. Never stop laughing. A genuine, authentic laugh, especially when it's aimed at dysfunctional and harmful systems, is a powerful way to undermine the powers that be. There's this extremely mediocre movie that has Christopher Walken in it. I've actually never seen the movie, but I've seen the scene. And for whatever reason in the scene, Christopher Walken, who's like, if you know who that is, just one of the weirdest people you can imagine. And it's a classic movie scene. Someone points a gun at him and says, "Put your hands up." And Christopher Walken's character, in that weirdo Christopher Walken way, he just says, "No." The other person goes, "Why not?" To me, that's what a laugh is. A laugh during times of grief and loss. It's a way of saying no to powerful interests who want you to live with fear and hopelessness. Laughing away is a way of saying no to the power grab that happens when we are threatened and attacked through political and legal processes. In a way, this kind of laughing, it's very close to anger. Anger is an important resource for responding to these dumpster fires. But I remind all of us that you don't have to channel your anger through a fist always, or in loud words. It can come in a joke. It can come in a deep belly laugh that explodes out of us. Part of the damage and destruction of our times is in breaking all of us down, making us feel miserable. It's a tactic. It has a planned effect. If you feel demoralized, it's important to realize that that is the goal of the people who are setting these fires around us. And if we know that, if we understand that part, one of the most productive things we can do is insist on having a good time. Laugh, dance, sing, make things, break things, enjoy it. All right, number 2, never forget, the future is not written. It's easy to feel despondent about the future. It's easy to expect that things will not change. It's easy to give into hopelessness and a certainty that the future cannot be better than what we have. And it's completely valid to respond to our out-of-control world this way, especially if you're a young person trying to plan for this future. But that feeling is rooted in certainty and a kind of arrogance about the idea that the fire starters are the ones with all the power. It ensures that the future we fear will become the future we get. It's safety of certainty, even if what is certain is a terrible outcome. It feels less safe, but the deeper, truer freedom comes in realizing that, of course, the future is not written. And the allure of safety and feeling sure about how doomed we are is actually a mirage meant to pull us away from the path, from the work. It's a lie. It's a lie to keep us away from opening our basement door, from tackling the issues that lay upon it. Uncertainty feels riskier, but it's deeply, deeply true. I sincerely believe, that there are extraordinary spiritual resources in UU ideas about exploration and openness and truth-seeking that can help us respond to uncertainty with gratitude and affirmation. I have so much faith in all of you because I know that you are all hurting in the right ways and for the right reasons. I know that's weird to say, but I have a feeling you know what I mean. I know that we have it within us to do amazing, unexpected, unlikely things if we work together with empathy and a seeker spirit to help bring a different future about. Number 3, don't forget that old Stoic lesson. Concern yourself with what is in your control. I know, I just can't keep myself away from those ancient philosophers. Sorry about that. But one of the reasons I find myself always returning to the Stoic philosophers is the way that they focus on the internal resources we have within us as individuals to tackle the world as we experience it. You know, the Stoics were ahead of their time because they realized how important it is to be mindful of what our brains are doing. Stoics understood this, and they cautioned people to protect themselves from being overwhelmed by what isn't in our power to do. That kind of mental perspective, it's a defense mechanism, and an important one. If we have to be firefighters, learning to focus on what's in our power, it's like a heat shield. It allows you to withstand the dilution of your anger and your will to do good. Because there's a simple fact here. Most of us, many of us, aren't equipped to tackle the roots of the issues that are facing us. We can do things. We can advocate, we can organize, we can vote. But most of what we can do, it's local. It's face-to-face. And that's important for the task in front of us because this is that sad fact. It takes a spark to light a dumpster on fire. But it takes gallons and gallons and gallons of water to put one out. It's okay to work on what's in front of you, to do the good that you are able to do, because we need hoses and hoses full of good. We need hydrants full of good. We need gigantic tubs that those helicopters fly over forest fires full of good. And we're going to get there by joining the good that we can do together. So a final one, and probably the most important. Beloved community is prophetic. To gather in communities like this one is to refute the forces that try to degrade our sense of what's possible in this world. I deeply, deeply believe in the people right here, a people trying to foster beloved community and to engage with the wider world outside of them. This is what fixing the world looks like. I am such a believer in all of you and in what you can do together. I know prophetic is a tricky idea. It's a very sort of churchy word, and it comes with all this baggage. But being prophetic, it's one of the deepest things that we can hope to do as a beloved community. Because to be prophetic is to live out our principles and to embody our hopes. In fact, the greatest good that a community like this can do is to demonstrate that ennobling and binding love in our world is possible for everyone to see. Beloved community proves beyond even the shadow of a doubt that we can create a world that is founded in love and peace and justice. As individuals, we can do all kinds of good things, but the basis for those good things is us living on that belovedness, reminding the world that this society that's based on the exertion of power and the prioritization of capital over dignity, the centering of self over the needs of others, a fear of equality and diversity, that's not how it has to be. We live that out here. And make no mistake, that's a job. That is a task. To be, in this case, is a task. That's why we keep asking to come here every Sunday morning. That's why we have garden volunteers and RE teachers and GCC participants, because that is how we do beloved community. It's how we remind people that the doom cycle that we see in school shootings and Supreme Court decisions and Capitol insurrections. That's not how the world has to be. It stinks out there, friends. Those dumpsters are absolutely blazing, the smoke of quite literally hot garbage. It's a stench so bad, it would be completely reasonable to drop everything and flee to fresh air. It's overwhelming. It feels like it's inescapable. I feel this myself, and I feel it for so many other people. I feel like we're all doom scrollers now. Feels impossible not to be. If you're not familiar with that term, doom scrolling, it's very important, actually. Doom scrolling is what happens when you're just trying to be informed about the world, and you fall into this downward spiral of one story to another, horror after horror, until you find yourself in this place where you're 100% sure that the world is doomed and it's impossible to do anything to change it. Even if you don't spend a lot of time on the internet, it's easy to fall into that sense of hopelessness. That's why I like Samwise Gamgee so much. A story about two unlikely, vulnerable, completely under-resourced individuals literally traveling to a place called Mount Doom. Mount Doom, of course, right? Mount Doom. Mount Doom for us, of course, is a thing in the world. It's the forces that are letting these dumpster fires. It's these agents of wickedness that are doing all kinds of terrible things in the world. But Mount Doom also lives inside of us. It's a thing we have to wrestle with all the time because that sense of anxiety and imposing fear, that's inside of us as well. I think Sam can be an example for us because he models how to keep your feet on the road even as you're facing down Mount Doom. His spirit never loses its elevation and commitment. You know, in Tolkien's story, the task before Sam and Frodo, it feels impossible. But the main thing that keeps them going is the hope of a future that's better than their fears. It's what gives them the courage to face doom down and keep their feet on the long path to remake the world. Now, to be clear, I am absolutely certain that there is so much more to all of this. Our task is not as simple as Samwise's was. And like I mentioned when I began, I don't have answers. And I'm sure there isn't an easy one going forward. But if someone pressed me, if someone insisted that I tell them my thoughts about how to respond to all of the horrible, awful things going on in the world, I would point to you. It's you, it's people, it's this community. Good people doing good things, the good that they can. It's slow going, it's incremental. It's very, very non-dramatic. But you are where the answers lie. If there is a good world to make out of this one, it's because you're in it. That's what I believe in. That's where my hope lives. And I'm ready to open that door and start dealing with that disaster lurking in our basement. It's because I know I don't have to go down there alone. I'd like to invite everyone to turn to number 346 and rise as you are able to sing an old favorite, Come Sing a Song with Me. seated. I am so grateful to be singing this song with you this morning. And I hope that we can all go out into this dumpster fire of a world that we're all navigating. And I hope that these closing words, courageous words from Anne Frank, encourage us to hope. Anne Frank wrote, "It's utterly impossible for me to build my life on a foundation of chaos, suffering, and death. I see the world being slowly transformed into a wilderness. I hear the approaching thunder that one day will destroy us too. I feel the suffering of millions. And yet, when I look up at the sky, I somehow feel that everything will change for the better, that this cruelty too shall end, that peace and tranquility will return once more. In the meantime, I must uphold my ideals, for perhaps the time will come when I shall be able to carry them out."
We will now extinguish the chalice. The words for extinguishing the chalice are on the yellow card. Please let us read together. "We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again."
My spirit sang all day, oh, my joy. Nothing my tongue could say, only my joy. My heart an echo caught, oh, my joy, and spake, "Tell me thy thought, hide not thy joy." My eyes can hear around, oh, my joy. What beauty hast thou found? Show us thy joy. My jealousy is grew whist, oh, my joy, music from heaven east, send for our joy.